Thar, a lifestyle choice for some, a desire for most, and an SUV to the truest sense of the words sports utility vehicle. Up until now, it offered a whole lot of drive capabilities where most others would fail, but had not much happening in terms of creature comforts. But Mahindra is determined to make the 2020 Thar appeal to a wider audience, and this off-road beast is now a beauty as well, both on the outside as well as on the inside. I'm Shubhadeep Chakravarti, you're watching HT Auto, and we'll be telling you everything you need to know about the 2020 Mahindra Thar. Thar has always been known for its off-road genetics and drive dynamics, but we'll come to all of that in just a bit. For now, let's take a look at how the new Thar looks. Sporty, stylish, sharp are adjectives we've used for other SUVs, but we just can't for the Thar. That's because this car now is more menacing, wider and bulkier, and with a larger road presence than ever before. That's thanks to a slightly sloping bonnet which goes and merges with these circular headlamps right here. The large superimposing front bumper also extends a menacing look to the Thar. The front grille is something I'm not a big fan of. To me it looks like, say, an Adolf Hitler moustache, but it is an update and needs a mention. The wide wheel arches with the black cladding are visible from the front, but are a major highlight when one takes a look at the car from the side profile. And since this here is the LX trim, which means it's oriented more towards the urban lifestyle, there are these macho looking 18-inch alloy wheels as well. The other AX trim gets 16-inch alloys. The two side windows are large, and so are the side mirrors, which now come with the Thar badging. There is also 226 millimeters of ground clearance, which is what gives the Thar its water wading capabilities. Ground up and onto the top, this here is the hard top version of the Thar, but you can also get this vehicle in a soft top version as well as, hold your breath, a convertible. The rear of the Thar is characterized by these LED tail lights, which look spectacular when they light up and give a sense of modernity to the vehicle. Overall, from the rear though, the profile is as wide, as muscular as it is from the side and on at the front. The rear profile here, as you can see, is dominated by this large spare wheel, which also is 18 inches, and the door, which now opens in two ways. The boot space is not much to write about on the Thar and is perhaps just good for two small bags. But if you're not a large family on the move, then you can always fold down the rear seats for more space. Yes, change is a good thing, especially if you're inside this new Thar, because there are a whole lot of changes, additions of features that we need to speak about. All of that is highlighted primarily by the 7-inch infotainment screen. Now, in any other car, this wouldn't be much to talk about, but now a rugged car like Thar also gets a screen which supports Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, apart from displaying adventure statistics, vehicle statistics, and the rest of the features that you would expect. Then there are these large circular AC vents, which, while they are a little cheap to touch, look really sophisticated and upmarket. Storage space is a bit of a hit and miss because the space for your mobile phone is large and will accommodate every phone of every size. That said, there are cup holders at the center which, well, they don't fit my hand sanitizer spray because it'll keep rattling, and even if I decide to put a bottle instead, well, it's too small. So the cup holder is actually good perhaps only for the cups, but there are bottle holders on either side. The glove box on the Thar, unfortunately, is really tiny and will not fit much apart from the vehicle papers. As far as connectivity options are concerned, you get two USB ports, one aux and a 12-volt charging system. These sit just under the controls for the AC, which, by the way, are splash proof. So are the floor mats. You can just take them out, wash them, spray them and dry them and put them back in. So that's another good touch from Mahindra, because the Thar will spend a lot of time in rugged outdoor conditions. what you would find on the Thar is a lot of Thar. So the badging of Thar is right there on the main dash, on the sides, and even on the seats. Speaking of the seats, well, they are nice. They are a little bit too stiff for my comfort, but overall they have nice level of bolstering, and they cocoon my back really well as well. And the biggest and my favorite feature of all what I've mentioned are the roof mounted speakers. Now remember, I said this is the hardtop version, so the speakers actually are placed on the roof, and the sound coming from up to down sounds really nice when you're on the move. In a Thar old versus Thar 2020 comparison when it comes to the interiors, yes, this one is a lot more premium, but the real test lies in what's in store for passengers in the second row. How easy it is to get in and out. Let's find out. The rear seats. They themselves are okay, but as you saw, getting in and perhaps even out is not going to be an easy task. Maybe I'm not fit enough, or maybe it's just a bit of a task. Either way, I wouldn't advise this for the elderly especially. I mean, my 65-year-old father would definitely not want to make that much of an effort to get into the back seat. But now that we're here, let's just talk about what it's like. This driver seat is positioned to how I like it, and I still have more than adequate knee room. The leg space is also fairly decent. Remember, there are footwells eating into the space, but even then, don't think that should be much of a problem. We've been getting a lot of questions about these windows here. Are they fixed or can they open? Unfortunately, well, these are fixed. There are also no rear AC vents, which means while there is a lot of light flowing into the cabin, there is not much in terms of air. I'm speaking to you and I've already started sweating, and that's not really a great feeling. Thar is best experienced when you're behind the wheels, and I will get to the steering and the driving part in just a bit. But right now, sitting here with the driver's seat positioned to my colleague's style, well, I have even more knee room. So the feeling is, well, quite nice, and to be very honest, now that the air conditioning is kicking in gradually, I feel a whole lot better. There is a sense of rugged, rustic appeal when you're sitting here in the rear seat of the Thar. For example, the handle. In any other car, I would have said that this is a cheap cost-cutting measure, but in this car, this goes really well with the overall theme that the Thar seeks to paint. Now, the basics of the ride quality. Well, the seats, as I mentioned, are reasonably comfortable, but like you just saw, I do get moved around a little bit. The suspension setup is a bit on the stiffer side, so a little bit of creaks, cracks here and there, and a little bit of body roll, bump up, bump down is expected and is there here in the rear seats. And finally, getting behind the steering wheel. The Thar is now offered with two brand new engine options. There is the 2-litre M Stallion petrol engine, but the one that we have today is the 2.2 M Hawk diesel engine. How does it fare? Well, let's take a look. The LX that I'm driving is also offered in an automatic option, but the one that I have is the 6-speed manual. Now, the gearbox itself, the gears, they slot into the required position really well. It's not the smoothest, but then it's perhaps not even trying to get that accolade. Instead, there is a little bit of a drag till, say, the 1000 RPM mark, but once you cross that, especially in the 4th, the 5th, and subsequently the top 6th gear, the Thar gets a move on with a lot of purpose. There is a slight sense of wobble from the steering wheel once you do hit those triple-digit speeds, which is a little unnerving, but that also helps this car get a little bit of precision when it comes to taking those sort of U-turns and sharp turns. For a car of this size, this shape and dimensions, the turning, the cornering abilities is, well, fantastic. I mentioned the rather stiff suspension setup, which has always been the case with the Thar, and while it's very prominent on the rear seat, it's also noticeable here in the front seats. Now, The seats themselves do a reasonably good job of cushioning you, but the occasional speed breakers which are a little too menacing and are tackled in high speeds, well, those will be felt. But frankly, putting the Thar to the test on clear open roads like this is, well, only half the story. The other half is how it performs where there are no roads whatsoever. So let's find out. So there you have it, the all-new Mahindra Thar 2020. An SUV that remains a bad boy but now comes with a golden heart. The updated looks on the outside and the feature list on the inside will keep even the casual enthusiast and family-oriented person interested. Yes, getting in and out of those rear seats are a trouble, but Mahindra at a later stage perhaps can fix that with a 5-door version of the Thar. Here is everything you need to know about how Mahindra has priced the Thar. And that's all we have for you in this edition of HT Auto. So stay tuned, stay safe, drive safe.